All right, let me know if you guys can hear me here. Setting up the live stream here, stand by. Looks like we got it here now. Add a picture there to it. And now I'll check it out. Garrett Hartung is first. Loud and clear. All right, nice to hear it. Let a few more people come online here. I'm not sure what's going on. I can't see how many people I've got live here yet. 5x5. Yeah, I can't tell how many people are in the chat right now. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, but let's see. Hi from Federal Way. We hear you. Good evening from Puyallup. Yeah, so I was hoping the European would give a little bit more clarity on what some of the other models were showing right now, but it really didn't. It was pretty similar to the 18Z run, but we have some more information coming in here too now. So if I update this one here, this is the high resolution UW model here. This one does really well at the terrain features here. I usually prefer the 4cam, seems to do a little bit better now, but let's just put this into motion here. I haven't looked at this one closely yet. It doesn't seem to be doing too bad now. It's just now sticking on my deck here in Normandy Park, and you can see it's picking up some of that snowfall north. It might actually be underdoing it from what I've been seeing on some of the images up there also. But he put this into motion here, and you can see the UW model, by the time we get towards this morning, pretty good snowfall coming across North Seattle towards Everett there. And yeah, look at that. I mean, pretty impressive snowfall total showing up here all the way down towards North Tacoma and right across some of West Seattle there, down towards Burien, downtown Seattle, Everett getting in on the action as well. A little bit of a rain shadow going across some of Whidbey Island here up towards Arlington. Kind of to be expected here, but still some decent snowfall amounts. Yeah, I like watching the terrain on here. You can see how it really helps the model kind of show where the snowfall is going to occur. But yeah, pretty good bullseye there on the Central Sound here on the UW model, high resolution there. So yeah, I mean, if we go a little bit further, you can see this changes to this morning's run. You can see the uptrend if you back and forth there. This morning's versus now. Definite uptrend there on the GFS, the WRF GFS here. Yeah, sorry about that Portland snow. You could see a little bit on Friday, but it's most likely to be freezing rain. It looks like at this point. And see if Garrett's still here. He can tell us what he thinks about that freezing rain threat going on there for Portland coming up here. This is Portland on the 18Z Euro. You can see that warm air moving in a top of that lower level freezing layer there in the bottom 2,000 feet there. That would be some freezing rain probably here. The weather app says it's raining, says Kyle Gustafson. Yeah, those weather apps, man, they're never wrong. Hello from an on-time arrival at SeaTac. Yeah, it shouldn't be any too big of problems tonight. Tomorrow morning might be a different story at SeaTac, depending how this all unfolds, of course. Here's that windy app. I kind of like looking at this app. Just kind of gives you a good overall view of the winds. You can kind of see that warm front of this very weak, subtle system out here moving in towards us. You can see the cold air kind of in place over the Puget Sound. Marginally cold here for some of the area. Definitely warmer out there south of Tacoma towards Olympia. Sticking in white center. A little sleet on First Hill. No, there's going to be a 06Z run coming up here that'll come in before that morning stuff starts. And I'll probably wake up in time to get that. And I'll do a briefing for that one also. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens here because, I mean, if we look at this, for example, I mean, that's pretty stark differences here for this close to the event. I mean, still 1.6 is not a bad snowfall event for SeaTac. In 2 to 3 inches, Seattle to Everett. It's not bad, but those are pretty big differences here. You can see the European kind of shows a little bit of the rain shadow, I believe, here, but it's big differences on the Seattle Metro between Everett and Seattle down towards SeaTac, as you can see. So I'm really curious to see how this is going to work out. Eastern Vancouver Island, 22 and snowing. Very nice. Lake Stevens. Hello, Johnny. I'm trying to read all the 11 degrees and blowing snow up in Whatcom County. Wow. I mean, I would love to see that. Thanks for all the kind comments here. I see them coming across. Looks nasty. Could see an inch or two in the Portland Metro before things transition to sleet, then freezing rain. Yeah, all the way to Saturday morning. I saw that too. That low-level layer is going to be nasty coming through the area there. In fact, let's go ahead and let's actually do that really quick for Portland here. Let's back up a little bit more here. We'll go to Washington, which covers Portland, and we'll check out the recent European run here. We'll go to surface temperature here. So I'm highlighting Portland here. Look at this as you go on into Thursday, that cold air hanging out in the Willamette Valley there. And watch Seattle start to warm up a bit. Look at this teens and low 20s kind of hang out in the Portland area here. That's because of that gorge. If you guys don't know about that gorge, there's a sea level gap there between the mountain range there, and it really allows cold air to get in there. You can start to see it in place here by the time you go into Friday morning. And watch as you go into Saturday early morning there, you're still below freezing in some areas of the Willamette Valley. And you can see Seattle areas north all the way up into the 40s. And you can see that cold air kind of trapped there well into early Saturday morning shown here. North Sultan, windy and heavy snow. Sumas area has whiteout conditions. I forgot how to pronounce Sumas. 222 people watching. All right, very good. Yeah, what a great weather community we have there. Yeah, each individual model run, I love watching that. Kelly Hamilton mentions that. It's very fun to watch these come in. It's fun to do it with a bunch of people watching too. Okanagan, negative 13 at 4,000 feet on the border. Man, you are in the boonies out there. That sounds like a blast. So where are we now? Yeah, you can see those negative temperatures out there in north and northeast Washington. Pretty intense winter going on right now. Hoquiam, Seattle, negative 1.9 millibar right now. That's good as long as you can keep this kind of flowing offshore as long as we can. Wind chill watch out for Spokane area. Yes, I saw that too. Port Orchard, it is snowing. California, thanks for the donation there. Thank you very much. Church Mass, Sumas. Okay. Yeah, my buddy's dad lives up there, and he corrected me, and I forgot how he corrected me. So Sumas. Okay. Snowing lightly near Bangor Base. Actually, I want to check my station here really quick here. Let's take a look here. 33 still. It was like 33.1 last time I was upstairs, but it was starting to stick on the railing out there. Dew point just below freezing here. What does my gut say between the Euro and the UW? Man, it is so tough because it's really hard to beat the models in this instance because the air mass is not that cold right now, and it's very hard to tell just how vigorous this cold air is going to come in behind it and what kind of convergence zones are going to form as we go through the morning tomorrow. We're going to get a pretty good northerly push at some point, probably late morning down the sound here. But it's always such a roll of the dice on just where the convergence zones are going to set up there. But I think that probably between, I mean, if I want to be really safe, I'd say 1 to 5 across the Seattle Metro. Probably 2 to 5 is a decent bet for most areas across the Seattle Metro. Because even looking at the low-end European here, you're talking about 2+ inches Seattle north, really. 2 to 3 inches between Seattle and Everett. And then maybe up to 1.5 inches there for SeaTac. And, of course, lower as you go down the I-5 corridor. So probably a 2 to 5 inch scenario across the Seattle Metro is probably not that bad of a bet, really. Snow is so rare in the South Sound. Yeah, it can be. And then once in a while, you'll get a really nice one. Well, I used to drive a Jeep. I did my email address way back then, guy in Jeep. That was probably like 20 years ago or something like that. So I don't have it anymore. That used to be a Cherokee and a Wrangler back in the day. Not much happening in Covington. It looks like the snow is on its way out there. Actually, let's take a look at the radar here really quick too. This is radar scope. Actually, we're going to do this too. We're going to go to... So you can see some of that moving in across the area now. It's probably why it's sticking on the railing out here. Picked up the rate a little bit. Snow moving out of the Everett area now. Probably going to redevelop as we go. And as you look at Langley here, you can see moisture coming in here. This is those southerly winds probably starting up a little bit as we come out here as well. It's probably a little bit. Yeah, pretty good slug of moisture out here. Marysville, 2 inches tonight. Yeah, the Euro has the low pressure going right over Stanwood, Camino. LaConner, 2 inches, 2+ in Warm Beach. What do you think for Renton? I mean, 412 feet. I think a couple inches is probably at least a good bet. I mean, an inch in Mount Vernon, 110 feet. Cold in Kamloops. Oh, God, we have somebody from Kamloops. All right. Yeah, I like to show the temperatures out there. Thanks for the kind words, Tyler. Micah, weather or not, Subaru. 3 miles southwest of Covington. Light to moderate snow, 32. They're probably just trying to pick up the precipitation is generally not that heavy right now. Yeah, still clear air mode. With some pretty good snow falling up north there. Not bad at all. And you can see it kind of increasing here across the South Sound. But again, the further south you get out of Seattle, the temperatures are a little bit warmer there. Tonasket, 3,600 feet, -7, light snow starting. That sounds awesome. Snowy, not sticking in Tacoma, 33. Yes, actually I'm off Friday too, so I may just come down there and give Garrett a visit down there and check out that ice storm, depending on what's going up here in Seattle. If it's going to be high impact stuff here, I got to stay home just because I'd like to cover the area closer to home, but I would like to see that ice storm down there if it develops. 32 raining in uptown Seattle. Vashon Island, it depends, you know. I mean, you're talking about, it depends which model you believe in here. I mean, it's like, you can see Vashon here. I mean, look at this. They're talking about 8 inches there for Vashon on the UW GFS versus, less than an inch on the European model there. But like we said, some people are chiming in that the Euro is already being outperformed here in what it's showing. So that's a good sign. But the GFS here kind of takes the cake. But this doesn't take into the account the resolution and elevation here. And that's why the UW model tends to work better than the GFS here. So these totals are almost certainly not going to happen here, but these could. And you can see some of West Seattle, Burien getting up over 8 inches showing up there. Everett, Seattle, nice snowfall would show up in this. No precip in Chehalis. Snowing hard in Monroe. Yeah, Crown Point. Maybe I'll bring the probe down there and check out those wind speeds too. Christmas Love made it to a live chat. 10 Fahrenheit in Chilliwack. What does the live stream show? Does anybody know how many people are in here? Caught that guy, put him in timeout. There we go. Yeah, I mean, the UW model shows it coming all the way down towards Olympia here. And if we back up, you can see when that falls here too. This falls what? 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. So somewhere around noon or so. Late morning, early afternoon for Olympia there. And again, this is the 1.33 kilometer here. This is the UW special. It shows very high resolution. It picks out these terrain features quite well. So you can see the Cascades and the Olympics quite nicely here. Vancouver Island, higher terrain as well. 380 right now. Very nice. And for those of you wondering, I was broadcasting in 720 in my recent videos when the computer changed, but I just updated my OBS settings. It will now be in 1080p from now on, so it'll allow you to see the detail a little bit better. Close that out. hit the like. 391 in the chat. Yeah, you'll probably see some snow at some point here on Vashon. I mean, is it not snowing there right now? I'd be surprised if it wasn't snowing there right now, actually. Looks like some little band of snow went through there as we get this system bearing down on us here. And you guys can see this is a very subtle looking system here, and that's how we want it. If you want snow in the Seattle-Tacoma area here, you want this thing not to start flexing its muscle here. You want this thing to stay underdeveloped here and kind of slide down and just bring in its slug of moisture and not bring these powerful southerlies just blasting up through the Puget Sound. You'd like the snow to start a little bit earlier here and allow these south winds to come down, or north winds to come down the sound. Yeah, 34, tough to get snow to stick at 34 for sure. Anacortes, 22.5 and 3 inches. Very nice. Puyallup, Tacoma, it's some of the models say nothing down there, but you could pick up an inch or two down there. Snowing on Vashon, very light. Where do I think it's going to be? Well, it'll be somewhere between Everett and probably Tacoma by this morning, but I know that's not a very good look at things here. If we look at the national blend of models here, this is off the 0Z run as well. You can see as we go through the later morning hours here, it does move down, you know, towards Spanaway here, Tacoma, Olympia, gets SeaTac. By the time you get to the evening, about what? So SeaTac picks up almost 4 inches there, about 3 p.m. In Seattle, Everett gets some pretty decent amounts. You can see the lesser amounts, of course, closer to the water here. Maybe some rain shadowing going on here. But this might be skewed also by the Canadian and the GFS, obviously, here. So, you know, this might be a pretty good compromise here for some of the areas across Seattle, Tacoma, down towards Olympia, Vashon, maybe an inch or two as well. Tori, you are in Normandy Park. All right, just down the road then. By 8 a.m., that's a tough bet. So this is 8 a.m. right there. And it says an inch or two maybe for Normandy Park. So you'll probably see a coating out there. I don't think it'll be undrivable or anything like that by 8 a.m. So if we go back to when they first saw the storm coming, I mean, it's, you know, I've been talking about this system here coming in on Tuesday for probably over a week now. I just know how these storms develop, and you get Arctic air across the region. Then you always have the chance of a low pressure moving underneath and traversing underneath the Arctic high here. And actually, let's bring that up. So we'll back out here. I want to show you what I was talking about. We'll go to northwest. We'll back out to pressure, and we'll go to mean sea level pressure here. And as we go, you can see that subtle little low move under shown here by that 10-20 millibar low pressure there. And that's kind of what I've been watching for a week. So it's really been not bad. The European was really the first to kind of show this, even though now it seems like it's kind of betraying us a little bit. But this is what we want. We want this latest GFS to come true. Just a subtle low pressure system. No big southerly winds coming across the area. But at the same time, a stronger low pressure system, even if it did move further north, would still have some pretty strong northerly winds behind that. And we would have the potential for some convergent zone activity across the Central Sound going on into actually tomorrow night. So let's take a look at that here. We'll just do this. So you can kind of see some of that activity across the Central Sound as we go on in towards tomorrow night as well. It kind of creates this convergent zone going on. That could bring a couple inches of snowfall across the Seattle metro as well before that finally weakens and slides south going on through the day Wednesday. Snow almost 2 inches. Squim, 27 degrees, 2.5 inches. Oak Harbor, 25, almost 2 inches. Mike Supersonics, thank you very much. Yeah, we're trying to figure out what's going on here. We're all hoping that the UW GFS comes true here, and you can see that some pretty big snowfall amounts showing up there. Actually, let's fast forward here. We're on the 0Z now, and you can see just the huge amounts all the way down through Kent towards Tacoma there, Everett, Vashon, Kitsap Peninsula, rain shadow, a little bit air across the Vashon, not Vashon Island, Whidbey Island there. You know, the Cascades just getting plenty of snowfall. You can see I-90 there, North Bend. I think there's something else we can do here. Actually, let's go to this. So let's go to Puget Sound. Was I on that? No, this is actually goes even more in depth here. Maki Moore. Maki Moore, are you the one who lives down there on Three Tree Point that I see on Twitter sometimes? 3.5 inches, -6 Celsius, Vancouver Island. Might get a little snow on Friday in Portland. Yeah, I mean, my kids are actually out on winter vacation right now. But look at that. I mean, that would be a very fun snowfall event there. I mean, you're talking about 6 to 8 inches there across the Seattle Metro. Pretty intense. Bradley Castaneda. I will grab a coffee and I will thank Bradley. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's Maki Moore. I hope you're pronouncing your name right. Yeah, I love the terrain features on this map. But the problem is with the high resolution is just because we only have so much information you can put into this model here. So if you're putting garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So it's still going to be based on what you're putting in to the model here. But yeah, this is the one that's been picking up for a while. You know, this subtle little low moving underneath this Arctic high. These can be really prolific storm makers across the area, especially right on the north side of these low pressure systems there. So this is what we're dealing with there. You can see that tongue of moisture move towards the Washington coast. Subtle low pressure moves down across Idaho and eventually down towards western Wyoming here. Arctic high. Look at this strong Arctic high over BC there. Really going to bring some cold air out across the region there. And look at this high pressure system out across Montana. That's kind of nutty on the GFS there. 1065, 1066 there. And then we're going to have cold air in place, and this Pacific system's going to try to roll through here. But it really depends on what kind of system rolls through here on the night of Thursday and a Friday, Saturday morning here. Because sometimes these things approach well from the north, and these southerlies will scour out the cold air quicker than they would if they just came in from the south and brought the precip in right away. Graham, yeah, I mean, you may get skunked. We may get skunked all the way through the Seattle Metro tomorrow. It is possible. I don't remember the ice storm in 1992 Bellingham there. Steady snow in Cedro Woolley. Yeah, Three Tree Point is a nice area. I'm trying to read all the comments here. A lot of them coming across there. We got any records coming with the warm-up. I mean, we might be looking at atmospheric river or some kind of windstorm coming up here, but it is, you know, it's still a little bit too far out there right now. It's going to change quite a bit. Potential for dangerous conditions on Friday, freezing rain on top of the snow, power outages. Yeah, like Garrett was saying, it takes 1/4 of an inch. You start taking down power lines and causing power outages, breaking trees, all kinds of nasty stuff. So let's actually take a look at the 0Z model run here and look at winter. We'll go to a freezing rain total here, and we'll go ahead and scroll through this really quick. Pay no attention to that first blob, but you can see that, ooh, look at Seattle. Oh, man, a 1/4 inch freezing rain in this last GFS run for Seattle. Actually, lesser amounts for Portland. The GFS has not been showing that much for Portland there. Let's actually zoom in a little bit more here. And we'll look at the European hot off the presses too. So let's go to Pacific Northwest. And you can see that that would be a problem across some of the South Puget Sound here, Southwest Washington, even Willamette Valley here, but not much for Portland. Kind of curious there. The European shows lesser totals, but really kind of targets Portland better here. But Olympia, Tacoma, down towards Federal Way, North Tacoma as well, Snoqualmie Pass, the gorge here. Pretty extensive freezing rain event possible coming up. 472 viewers now. Yeah, that 1064 millibar low, good pressure, Michael, there. Vancouver, up in British Columbia there, 1064 millibar would be a record in the lower 48 there. So it's probably overdoing it a little bit there, but let's actually look at the European and go to pressure and take a look at that. What does the European call for as far as that high that sets up over Montana here? You can see it moving down 1052, 56, 57. You guys see what I'm looking at out here over Montana? Probably a little bit more realistic there. Looks like it peaks out about 1059 or so. what's that? Right on top of Helena, almost there. But I think the record is what, 1064. Michael just mentioned there. That's going to be plenty of cold air in place across the region here. Christmas Day over the passes. So here we are out to Christmas morning right there. Actually, let's look at the temperatures here. Still some stuff trapped in eastern Washington here. I mean, this could be a problem on and through Christmas for some freezing rain in eastern Washington as well. Let's take a look at that. The only good thing about that is eastern Washington usually doesn't get too much. Nope, there it is. Yeah, that might be a problem there. Look at that Christmas Eve and Christmas morning freezing rain potential going in through eastern Washington, eastern Oregon there. I was out in a nasty freezing rain event February 1996. We went over to eastern Washington. We're supposed to be back the same day. And I got trapped in eastern Washington for 3 days. We had to rent a hotel for 3 nights because they closed Snoqualmie. We drove north to Stevens Pass. It took us forever to get there. And then they closed it by the time we got there. Had to go back and stay like the 3rd night in Ellensburg. And finally drove all the way south around Mount Rainier on the 4th day. And got back to Seattle. So that was February, I think, of 1996. So yeah, those freezing rain events can be really wicked there in eastern Washington. We were literally watching semis just slide off the road, and we got into a hotel, one of the first people to get in there, and then just literally thousands of cars and trucks were piling up in Ellensburg over the next day or two trying to find hotel rooms. Radar filling in, turbines. Oh yeah, the icing. The icing on wind turbines, probably not the best thing. Freezing rain is one of the worst things that can happen to an airport. I saw Scott Kemp ask that question about freezing rain affect the SeaTac area and the flights. I mean, freezing rain is extremely difficult to get off, and that's the problem. When you accumulate freezing rain on an aircraft surface, you have to get it all off. And so you have to basically melt that down, and it's not like you can go up there with a giant ice scraper. You have to actually use, forced air or de-icing fluid to actually get that off. So it's extremely, extremely disruptive because you land a plane and within a couple minutes, you've got a glaze of ice across your wings and your fuselage and you are stuck until you get de-iced. Yeah, west of the Cascades, we're going to be fine by the time we get to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, west of the Cascades here. I'll do Celsius here. You can see the white here is the freezing line. So by the time we get into Christmas Eve, you can see we've warmed up. Actually, Christmas Eve morning, still Portland below freezing there. Then they finally warm up as you go into Christmas Eve nighttime. Christmas morning there, yeah, we start to warm up here west of the Cascades. East of the Cascades, though, not so fast. Yeah, it could be a nice freezing rain event here, or nothing nice about it really, but it could be an impactful one for sure. Yeah, let's hope that Brett says 1 to 3 inches of freezing rain. Let's hope that that does not happen because that would probably destroy the city out there. GFS snow. Oh, so snow chart. Oh, the ensemble mean for the GFS? Okay, I haven't looked at that yet. Let's go ahead and here we'll go to, just for the heck of it here, we'll go to, wow, look at that for Seattle. That is pretty impressive, I will say. You can see here some really intense totals here on the 0Z GFS run for SeaTac. I mean, there's a lot of these are up towards a foot here. And the UW model was saying that as well. And some of these other models, I mean, let's look at the icon. Here's the German model at 0Z. Pretty good snowfall all through the central Puget Sound as well. You know, you're looking at 4+ inches, probably SeaTac northward on the German model here. We looked at the National Blenda models here as well. Pretty similar there, but further south extent for the snow. And I believe this is the Canadian itself. Yes, it is. You can see by the time you got into Wednesday morning there, I mean, you're looking at a pretty good snow line there just north of Tacoma and some pretty big totals there north of Everett showing up. Yeah, a half inch of freezing rain will cripple power lines big time. No visibility on the roads in eastern Washington. I should have drove up there tonight. Opinion on the accuracy of ensembles. Well, supposedly the closer you get, the better the initial conditions are going to be. And all the ensembles are skewed to try to correct for our errors in the initial conditions, but they're still valuable. I mean, you can still look at them and still garner information from it, because you could look at this, and if like most of these were dry and showed nothing, and the operational or the control was just saying something completely outlandish, you could take that into account. But this kind of supports what the control run has been saying, so it gives you a little bit more confidence here. But we have big disagreement here between individual models here, so that throws a monkey wrench into things too. 2012 was the Evan Elliott asked a good question there about the last big freezing rain event here. You can't remember the last one. 2012 was the last one. And I know we had at least a 1/4 inch on things. I can't remember how much exactly, but we had a pretty good ice coating in 2012 January. And we had a big one in 1996 in December. Really big freezing rain event out here also. Yeah, Brianna remembers the one in 2012. Portland and Seattle on Thursday, probably not too bad. I think that's right before any kind of freezing rain threat would show up at Portland and Seattle. It might start coming in there about Thursday night, I believe, for Portland at the earliest. The South Sound, I mean, you saw some of these model runs coming in here. Depends on where you are, but really the chances drop off pretty rapidly south of Olympia. It's probably the best bet. And a lot of models don't have much snow south of SeaTac also. So your chances go down rapidly the further south out of Seattle you go. Vashon Island, I mean, it looks like some models are saying snow for Vashon, others not so much. Probably an inch or two, not out of the question for Vashon coming up here. Well, it's actually been dropping at my house here in Normandy Park. Let's see if this gives me an update here. I've been stuck at 33 for several hours now, but it did drop about a half a degree here in the last couple of hours here in Normandy Park. So it hasn't started warming up yet. Still getting that wind out of the east. Maki Moore remembers the 1996 ice storm. Tree branches, power lines were encapsulated in ice. It was wild. Yeah, my mom that lives in Burien there still has some pictures from the 96 ice storm. Morning commute. I would be prepared for some winter driving conditions, but it should be pretty marginal still. Early morning here temperature-wise. It may start to drop a little bit as we get towards the later morning and afternoon hours, though. I would have heads up there. The Funky Monkey, thanks for the support. Puyallup snowfall next 24 hours. Well, let's start here. So you're looking at Puyallup. I mean, it's not a question you could get an inch or two, but some of the models really don't show that much getting down to the Puyallup area. But later in the morning, you could get some, once these northerlies start down the sound, you could get some precipitation down there. I'll say between 0 and 2 for Puyallup. Kind of hedging my bets there. Snohomish at 2 inches right now. Yeah, that's a good observation. Let's actually look at that. So let's go ahead and look at winter. There's 2 inches of snow already in Snohomish. So basically you're right up about here. So let's go ahead and look at, this is what we're looking at right about now. That's 10 o'clock. So that's pretty close. You can see that so far the actual snowfall is overperforming up here. And this would be about 1 a.m. and you're already beating that. Pamela Leonard, thank you very much for the support. So this is at 8 in the morning here, and this European still doesn't have 2 inches. So the European's not doing that hot so far. Now let's take a look at what the GFS says. Definitely doing, well, it's even the GFS is underdoing it a little bit up there too. So that's interesting that European is underperforming so far. That's a good sign if you like snow. You got an inch on South Whidbey, right? Now, did that fall today? Quinn Fitzpatrick. Slower transition near Portland. Garrett Hartung there talking to you guys about the freezing rain potential. Chuckanut Drive. Yeah, I used to go up there when we were little. Chuckanut Drive. 1.5 to 2 inches. Vashon Island there. Yeah, I was wondering about, somebody said they had an inch of snow on Vashon Island. Is that falling right now as we speak? Here's looking at the current Doppler radar there. You can see some more moisture is moving in here. So the snow rates are probably going to pick up a little bit across the South Sound here. But the temperatures are kind of marginal. It was sticking on my deck last time I checked upstairs. 2 inches on backyard pavement in Whidbey from Kyle. He is Whidbey Island. He's ground zero Whidbey Island weather observer up there. A little over 1.25 inches in North Bothell. Yeah, Boxing Week 1996. What a storm for British Columbia there. 50 inches in Victoria. It's ridiculous. So you guys want to see, let's look at the GFS here and we will take a look at, let's duplicate this one here so we have that snow map if we want to. David Wolfram, thanks for the support, buddy. Thanks for all the info. Very welcome. Okay, so let's see the GFS deterministic here. We will go to daily high and low temperature. So this is looking out Seattle, Tacoma. Davis Colby, basic channel support. Thank you very much. You can see the warm-up coming here, but I would only put stock really in this warm-up portion here. After we get out into here, this is just going to be kind of a crapshoot at this point. But look at these temperatures here. Again, this is just kind of raw model output right now. If we look at GFS Ensemble, pretty similar there though. You can see we warm up quite nicely here. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll start talking about a windstorm here in the next few days or an atmospheric river or something of that nature. But I got a hunch here that we're going to be flirting with some cold air again as we go on in through some portion of this winter. I mean, I can't imagine we're going to go through January and February without flirting with the Arctic air again, especially in this La Nina year, even though we are going to start transitioning out of La Nina conditions here. 2 inches Silver Lake and Everett. Yeah, the snow lovers, man. I mean, here it goes. Kelly Hamilton, thank you for the support. Very generous of you. Can we get any insight for snowfall totals from water vapor loops, or is radar better? It's usually, I mean, you can go with the combination of it, but right now, so if we look at Langley here, pretty good slug of moisture moving in here, and you can see it on the radar here. It's going to translate across the South Sound coming up here. So a lot of moisture off the coastline there, and then you can go ahead and do this. And you can kind of just watch this roll in here. What is this up to date to? This is 40. It hasn't updated here in about a half an hour. Let's see if it goes. It's still not updating yet, but anyway, you can see our system right here. We want to keep this thing nice and subtle. We don't want this thing flexing its muscle and getting a little too far north for us here. We'd like it just to come right over and leave Seattle in the deformation band or some of the Puget Sound here, because it's got a lot of moisture with it. You can see it. It's kind of stretched out here. It's going to last for a while. But then we're going to get some strong northerly winds down the sound behind this system as well, too. It could cause some convergence zone activity and some pretty good snowfall rates on the backside of that, too, that could move down the sound. We just don't know how far yet. Models are still in big disagreement. What happened in 2019 February? Yeah, big Arctic polar vortex came back over us. How much total will Linwood snowfall, Linwood Everett get? I mean, you're going to be 3+ inches easily out there. You could be over 6 inches for Linwood Everett out there. I would not doubt that at all. 3 to 6 inches is a good bet. And even higher amounts possible. So a deformation band, good question there. Let's go ahead and look at that really quick here. We'll look at Pacific Northwest. We'll do surface winds. And this kind of gives you a good visualization on what a deformation band is. So you can see this area here. If you look here, we'll look off the coastline here. This would be considered where the deformation band would form. The southerlies would bring moisture up into there, and you get some converging winds there. So you can bring moisture up into this colder air where the convergence area is along the low pressure system. That's what we know as the deformation band. So you throw moisture back up over the cold air here, and that's kind of what's called the deformation band. So you want to be right on the north side of that there. And the European initially brings those southerlies a little far north here, and the deformation band would be farther north. Almost looks non-existent there. But then you start to get the northerlies with some convergence behind that there. So the deformation band is that. Actually, if we go ahead and put this in here, maybe there's a better graphic I can show you. Not getting a lot of good stuff there. Not showing up too well there, so we'll skip that for now. I'll actually probably put that in a video. Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow also. Trying to read these comments here. Maple Valley. I mean, you're right on the snow border there, and a lot of these models here coming up for Maple Valley. This is the icon here. You can see 2 to 3 inches of snow showing up there. Picnic Point. Where is Picnic Point again? Davis Colby. 40 feet above mean sea level. Sammamish Plateau. Yeah, you're looking at probably some pretty good snowfall totals coming out there for Sammamish as well. Lakewood Stillicom raining right now. That's too bad. Are you close to the water there where it's raining? Yeah, you can see some of this activity here is probably dropping some snowfall across downtown Seattle right now. 32 in Graham. Anybody see the chat number? I don't know why it's not showing up today, but I cannot see how many people are in the chat here. Oh, it's 502 there, actually. Now, how do I re-show the chat? There we go. So the surface temps are going to drop more once the northerly winds start. So that's why when the system goes through, the quicker you get the northerlies back down around with the moisture still around, we're going to get more snowfall in any given area. So the temperatures are going to drop a little as this precipitation comes in, probably, but then it's going to warm up as we get some southerly winds. And if the southerly winds really make headway into the Puget Sound and well up towards Everett, then we're going to warm up easily up towards 40 degrees or so across some of the Seattle area. Why can't the Mariners sign a good player? Yeah, who knows? The Chehalis Gap is finally acting like a gap. Yeah, it's letting some moisture in here tonight, as you can see there. I've been looking at this windy app here showing too. You can see this very subtle system. Southerlies here. Where the southerly winds change to easterly, that's the mark of the warm front there. Boom, right across here. So you want this low to slide in here and not let these southerly winds get too far north and hopefully bring these north winds down back across the Puget Sound more quickly. It looks like Victoria is going to get a nice snowfall. I mean, you see some of these snowfall maps here coming up. I mean, look at some of these maps up there for up towards Vancouver Island. We'll take the look at here. What is, I mean, even the Europeans calling for quite a bit of snowfall up there, I believe. Yeah, look at that. You're going to get hammered up there in southwest BC, up towards Bellingham. It looks like even on the European model. The generator just went out. Yeah, Howling Mad Mud Duck has some really good scenarios there that he goes through in his property out there. I like reading his posts that he puts on my videos. Webcams in Whatcom County. Can you guys put links on there and I could just click on it? Is there a way to do that? Can you put it in the chat there or not? Whatcom County live webcams. Will this give me anything here? No. Ballots. It looks pretty darn snowy up there if this is any indication right here. Well, that didn't work, but it looks pretty snowy up there, huh? 100% rain in Burien right next to Seattle. Interesting. Yeah, still showing 33 here. Oh, only mods can post links. Okay. Raining in Lakewood, snow and -9 Celsius right now in Greater Vancouver. Very nice. 1.5 in Bothell. Almost 2 inches in South Everett so far. Very nice. Yeah, there's big snowfalls possible tomorrow. Definitely, Tyler Olson. Definite big time potential tomorrow for sure. I don't know what this one is, so we're going to go ahead and click off that. See if we have any more new readings here. Looks like we got the 10 o'clock one here. No, we already saw that one. So what's the next model that runs here? I wonder what time the NAM 3KM comes in. I don't even know. I'm usually not awake for that one, but it's not starting yet. The NAM kind of shows interesting stuff going through the afternoon tomorrow too. You can see Seattle getting close to 3 inches, or SeaTac getting close to 3 inches as we go through tomorrow afternoon and night as well, kind of leaving the central portion of Seattle with lesser snow. Seattle's snowing but melting at the surface. 2 inches near Woodinville. Spokane, yeah, you guys are Spokane's setting up for some nice snowfall. Even on the European here, you can see it start to roll in here, especially as you go through Saturday. I mean, pretty good amounts out there, and it's a fluffy, dry stuff too. Whatever falls is going to stick around probably till at least Christmas or so. Can you discuss wet bulb dew point heavy preset for those who don't know how that helps play into snow over 32 degrees? Yeah, once you start, I mean, if the dew point is below freezing, you'll get that evaporative cooling when the precipitation starts to fall through a column of air. So if we go ahead and look at this, you can see dew point temperature here. So I'm at 31 right now at my house, Normandy Park. So when the snow falls, it will drop the temperature a little bit. And if you get the rate strong enough, you can get some downward momentum of the colder air aloft down towards the surface too. That's why if you watch the temperature closely, when it does start snowing and your dew point is a couple degrees below your temperature, you will drop in temperature a little bit there. Kennewick's still 4 inches of snow from the last storm. Yeah, that's right. If you click on the maps there, it gives all the time there. So yeah, that's right. That's where it was. I was drawing a blank there. Wave watch GFS. Okay, so we can scroll down here. NAM 3KM. So what is that? Oh, so it starts at about 11:40 then. So it's going to start in about 20 minutes. But I will probably have to go before then. I can still hear my kids running around up there, and it's not good there up this late. Wet snow started Capitol Hill. Yeah, we're waiting for that deformation band. That little bit of north wind as the system comes in is really going to be the test to see which areas get some snowfall coming up here. And I'm going to close that one out. But yeah, here goes our system right here. Infrared satellite imagery. There it is. Yeah, I was going to do that, but I'm just a little bit too tired right now, Clayton. If anybody wants to check the buoys out off the coastline there and report back to what the pressure is versus what the pressure is supposed to be, that would be quite interesting. We could do this with the HER 3 kilometer, and we can go to, I think, what is it, 46041. There's some buoys out here off the coastline. We can compare, but I'm going to get off the computer here in a little bit here because I am dead tired. And I got to wake up early to do another briefing tomorrow. But it'd be interesting to see what it shows. This is about 11. There's 12 right now. It'd be pretty interesting to see what the exact reading here for the system is out of the coast. There's no way to tell where the rain snow boundary is going to likely be right now, but a lot of the models show basically kind of a line between SeaTac and Tacoma here, as you'll see on here. Let's just go to National Blend of Models here. And you can kind of see that snow boundary here. It actually shows it down, but I think this is kind of being skewed a little bit by the GFS. A lot of the models have it setting right up just south of Tacoma. So if we go ahead and take a look at, let's do this. Actually, let's just see how this does. Let's see surface wind, 10 meter wind speed, and check this out. You can see how the southerly winds kind of come up as we go overnight tonight. It's fairly light there. That wouldn't be too bad. And then you can see the northerly winds kind of fighting them as we go into about 10 a.m. tomorrow. You see this convergence over the central sound here. North winds coming down, still some southerlies meeting up there. And that's what would help cause that snowfall. You can almost imagine that deformation band would be right about here as that weak system slides across the Cascades. And you see the northerlies come down behind that all the way down through some of the interior here, off to the southeast of Tacoma. Station 4636, 30.06 and rising. Only mods can post links. Got it. Yeah, I wish I could stay up all night. I'm about to fall asleep as it is. But for the most part, I'll run through this one more time before I go here. So let's take a look here. So what's happening now is, taking a look here, you can see the winds just don't really turn very southerly here, maybe a little bit, but then they switch back to northerly. Oops, sorry about that. So basically, if the winds don't stay southerly, if you're down around the SeaTac, Vashon Island area, Tacoma, Federal Way, and the winds only turn southerly for an hour or two and they turn back northerly, you're probably in good shape here, and then you're going to get some decent snowfall. But you can see the snowfall really picks up as you go through the late morning hours towards the early afternoon across some of the South Sound here. But we have to watch the extent of the southerly winds. If the southerly winds just blast way up towards Whidbey Island and north of Everett here, that means the European was most likely right. And the amounts for Seattle South are going to be much less by that point. So wake up if you hear the winds howling out of the south and the winds gusting 35 miles per hour at SeaTac out of the south. Probably not great for snowfall. SeaTac, Vashon Island, Tacoma, Puyallup, Kent, etc. All the areas south span away. Garrett's got to get up for work in 5 hours. Thanks for putting in the time on the freezing rain info for Portland for sure. Dumping snow in Lakewood. 411 watching. Anyway, so I'm going to wrap up the chat now. I'm glad you guys could all come by. We're unifying the Pacific Northwest weather community here. And hopefully we can continue this on for the next foreseeable future as we go on in through winter, spring, summer, fall, and on in through next year. It's fun to keep doing this. Ocean shores buoy falling in pressure. Yeah, that's a good point, Chad. We mentioned that too. The European is not doing well so far. Howling Mad Mud Duck has a cardiologist appointment in Tacoma. Thanks, everybody. Ryan. Hey, Ryan. Shout out to Ryan. Maki, Nick, all you guys. Bradley, thanks for stopping by, everybody. Thanks for everything. Let's hope this UW GFS model is right. And I'm I'm going to wake up. First thing I'm going to do is check to see what directions the winds are and how far these southerly winds have gotten up the Puget Sound. So anyway, I'm going to sign off now, and I hope you guys are having a good night, and I will do the briefing tomorrow, and I will see you guys in the morning. So thanks again, everybody.